what is the Giannis latest? What do you think? We're still too soon for this? When do you think this pops, Sam? If at all?
My understanding is, that he's still, reading the room. That's the phrase I keep going back to. That he has not met with the Bucks in any formal capacity to discuss things. He obviously is talking to his people. He has a pretty small group. His brother, of course, Thanasis, is a big part of that, and his right-hand guy. He is, it's going to be, I think, a slow process. It will start with their group having more of a formal meeting, and I believe he's back in Greece at the moment. Then it'll be, followed by meeting with the Bucks, and from there, it's just a matter of how did he feel about the conversation. It's so interesting, though, the context having changed, and even since the Bucks season came to an end. When you think about it, like if I'm John Horst, the Bucks GM, I'm going to for sure find some time to lay out for Giannis that, and you're not trying to benefit from somebody's misfortune, but hey, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, Jason Tatum tore his Achilles, and the Celtics were already going to have to probably, bust up their roster in some capacity because of the second apron luxury tax hell that they're in. The point there is like a team like Boston not only wasn't able to defend their title, but is going in the wrong direction. The Cavs, who you thought looked like an absolute juggernaut, got bounced. The Bucks, didn't look like they were on the level with any of those teams during the season, but the East just got a little more flat, if that makes sense. And that, might help the Bucks make their pitch in terms of imploring Giannis to have some patience. If he doesn't have the patience and he does raise his hand and say, I think I'm ready to go, then obviously we have a massive story and the type of thing where every team in the league is going to be trying to get in the mix there.
Well, then what guides it then, Sam? Because again, just to circle back to the earlier part of our conversation, the Thunder did advance the Western Conference Finals. They are 3 games away from the NBA Finals. The reason why a lot of people are mentioning them as a Giannis destination is because they got the picks and the kids to send back to the Bucks, the players, to make something like that happen. They have the stuff, and there's a couple other teams that do have something that they can maybe flip to the Bucks to make something like that happen, unless Giannis raises his hand and names the team he wants to go to. Yeah. And thus the Bucks might not get a similar return. How do you think this does play out, Sam?
This is my, just to be clear for the aggregating audience.
Nice.
This is speculation, this is just my own opinion.
Do not aggregate, says Sam Amick. Do not aggregate. Okay.
No, if I had to handicap it, I think if he did say he wants out, I feel like he would name a team or two, that he would be specific. I don't think he's going to, he's not trying to help the Bucks to make sure they get maximum return. If he's ready to go, it's to go somewhere specific. And that would obviously limit what they get back, because then, if it's, let's say the Knicks fall short and it's like, hey, I could go be the king of the garden, which I do. We don't talk about the Knicks that much, but I know Giannis fairly well. Like, that's the one that tugs at me a bit, because the business side of his brain is about as cutthroat and kind of, global, if you will, as anybody in the NBA. And I could see that unfolding potentially. Maybe he goes the other way and wants to play with Steph Curry, though I don't think that's, the one that he would go for. But I think he probably would pick a team or two, and then they would, have to figure out how can they maximize the return in that context.
How about the Lakers to finish up? Because that's another way of me asking about a team that a lot of people are interested in that don't appear to have too many avenues to make big moves, unless maybe Giannis just chooses them, Sam, right?
I don't see that, because we learned not that we didn't know this season with the Bucks, when Damian Lillard was out because of the blood clot, we kind of got reminded that Giannis really likes the ball in his hands. And he had, I don't know if you ever saw it, Rich, he had this quote that, I think everybody in the organization certainly took notice of, where he talked about, it was kind of a reach of an analogy to a cookie jar. And if you are an only child with a cookie jar, then you just take whatever cookie you want. And that the point was that if you have the ball all the time, you do whatever you want with it. But if you got a bunch of siblings, then you hold the cookie jar a little tighter and you're picky about which cookie, like you got to fight for the ball essentially. And that messaging is something I think should be remembered going forward, because a situation like the Lakers, like I don't see it, because I don't think he feels like sharing the ball with Luka. And I think honestly, if Damian Lillard didn't get hurt, and it's their relationship's great, so I'm not saying it's like they weren't clicking thing, but like I think Dame probably would have gotten traded, and part of the motivation would have been that Giannis was ready to try it with the ball in his hands most of the time again. So to me, the Lakers has got some issues.
Well, then that would eliminate the Knicks too, wouldn't you say? I mean, Brunson's got that ball in his hand quite a bit, but at some point, I guess he's going to have to realize that, or maybe, Sam, you were misreading it. It just means Thanasis never got a cookie as a kid, like ever. Could be that too.
He's a pretty svelte guy. I mean, maybe that is it.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.